Yo, what's going on, boys? It's your man back for another comic figure review. And today we have the Ghost Rider. Now, when you see this guy in this look right here, you may be thinking, this is Johnny Blaze Ghost Rider. But no, it's not. This is Danny Ketch Ghost Rider, who I'm pretty sure is going to be what they're bringing into the movies now for the MCU, is going to be Danny Ketch Ghost Rider, who, this man right here, first appeared in Ghost Rider issue 1. This is, I think, the third or fourth run of Ghost Rider, but the first kind of reboot, I guess you could say. And in this issue, it's Danny Ketch himself, Ghost Rider right here. He finds a motorcycle with a glowing gas cap in a junkyard after his sister got shot with a crossbow. And I guess because his sister is dying from crossbow wounds, the gas cap starts glowing, and when he touches it, he makes the amazing transformation into this here Ghost Rider. Now, bringing this guy back in here, this is the Toy Biz Marvellegends Ghost Rider. I don't know which year it came out, but the box looks a little something like this. We're sticking to kind of the usual. Here is the box. It's a classic Toy Biz, you know, the big shell of plastic with the cardboard on the back. Look at that fat box. You see some other, I guess they had another Ghost Rider, and maybe, I don't know, maybe this is the Ghost Rider. But they had the whole line of figures you could get at the time. Toy Biz, you know them. They put a lot of effort into the figures, and then they went bankrupt, billions of dollars of debt. So I guess if you're trying to be a figure company maker, don't follow in Toy Biz's footsteps. So now, the box also came with, because it was the special Toy Biz, I guess, variant, the motorcycle variant, I don't know. It came with a special reprint of Ghost Rider issue 2, the second appearance of Danny Ketch Ghost Rider. And this is a special not for resale variant. And to compare it to the usual, I got the normal, I guess, first print, normal issue printing of Ghost Rider issue 2, and you can see there's just some slight differences, like Comic Code Authority, the stamp at the top up here, some stuff like the date it was released, the actual cost for it, and then the colors are a little different too. But other than that, they're pretty much the same book, other than one key feature: the ad on the back. You get a Toy Biz ad. That's limited edition Toy Biz ad right there. That is rare, and that is the only difference. The inside book is exactly the same. It's the story of the Ghost Rider going and beating some dudes up. You know how it is, going and getting vengeance and such. But we'll bring this man back in here. So to look at the paint and sculpt a little bit on this guy, we'll bring him in nice and close. I think Toy Biz did a very, very good job for the time. The look is pretty on par, or spot on with the comic book look. The only problem is some of the plastic and stuff from, I guess, back in the day, the figure just kind of is weird. Like, a lot of the plastic is kind of warped, and it doesn't move where you'd want it to, and it's very, like, it's weird. I don't know. If you own classic Toy Biz Marvellegends, you probably know what I'm talking about. They just have a different feel to them because they're such age to perfection. Now, looking in on some of the details here, you can see that Danny Ketch Ghost Rider, I guess he's a big fan of spikes. And the figure doesn't do a bad job of getting the spikes he has, but they're missing a good handful of them. Like, on the wrists here, they're supposed to be a little bit, you know, wider and sharper. But you can't really get the perfect look of this Ghost Rider with just the, like, plastic, especially if they're trying to classify it as a children's toy. You can't have razor-sharp spikes on it. And the one thing that I'm upset about that they didn't do is that Ghost Rider has a pair of like knuckle dusters that are spikes on the right hand that they didn't put on. And I'll use the trade over here to show some examples of these spikes. Let me see, let me find I'm like your third grade teacher over here. I got some sticky notes in a book, trying to find my evidence. Should have had this a little bit more prepared. But you do what you must to survive. Alright, this didn't work out. Note to self for next time: don't put sticky notes in the book. It did not help whatsoever. Alright, I found it. So here, this is in issue 2, I believe, the issue it comes with. You can see he saves a child and then brings him into the hospital because Ghost Rider is such a kind gentleman. And you can see right there, pointing at that kid, you can see a shiny pair of knuckle dusters with the spikes, and even a couple more good examples of how many spikes he has on him in general. He has like 84,000 on his hands and wrists, and his I guess the back of his hand. And even in some of these other shots, it gets even crazier because he gets even more spikes. Like if we look right on this first one right here, there's a nice beautiful shot of the Ghost Rider riding the hell cycle. It looks really good. And he has, you can see, he literally has spikes on the end of his boots, all over his gloves, his chest, I think, whatever you call it, his shoulders, traps even. And it all just adds to that character. And you can see some of the cool chain work he does there. A lot of the time, this character, a lot of people don't know what he can do. You kind of just see the Ghost Rider, it's like, yo, he rides a motorcycle. But he actually has a lot of very cool abilities that I feel like don't get shown off a lot. Like, he can make a motorcycle out of fire with his hand. He can literally beat this man up right here. Look at, pow, killed this dude in one punch for no reason. The motorcycle can get called to him just from his hand. He can breathe fire and all this crazy stuff. And a lot of the time, I feel like in the movies, or the like 3 movies he's in, they stick a lot to like, I'm gonna use my motorcycle and chain and just beat you with the chain, instead of a lot of the cool stuff. Like the penance stare too does get used, but I feel like not enough. So we'll move on next to the articulation on this guy. This is gonna be a tough part for most of you figure fans out there. The articulation isn't the best on this guy, but for the time, it is very, very good. So he looks up, not the best, but all right. He looks down pretty decent. He's got that side-to-side double ball joint on the neck and in the head. The neck one barely moves at all, so it's a majority just the head moving. At the shoulder here, this one's very bad, but it works very, very well. You can literally get that perfect, almost 90-degree with just the shoulder. A lot of companies don't do that at all now. There's very iffy with the shoulder articulation for some reason, because they think we don't want our figures doing the YMCA pose or whatever. I feel like, ooh, it's a lot nicer to have it with this much rotation because you have it if you need it. He does have a butterfly joint. It looks pretty awful on the back, and it works just all right. It actually, I'm not sure how they have it in there because it feels like it could break. So if you by any chance have this figure, be very careful with the butterfly joints. He's got a bicep swivel, a double jointed elbow that works pretty decent, a swivel. I was mixing up swivel and hinge. He's got a swivel at the bottom of the glove here, and then just a regular hinge at the hand. No swivel on the hand too, which kind of sucks. It makes him look very weird standing up. You got to kind of manage what you can with that. Then he actually has finger articulation for the fingers on his hand here, everything but the thumb. It's a nice little hinge, and this actually broke on mine, or it might have came broken, I don't remember. But the fingers are broken and they're very loose. Another warning, if you happen to have this figure, that's another warning I gotta say. So at the diaphragm here, he's got what seems like a ball joint inside, so you can get some nice crunch forward, a decent amount back. It's kind of one of those springy joints, so it doesn't hold, so you can kind of push it back, but it'll just move right back. That kind of sucks, but for the time, again, it's such an old figure that even having this kind of articulation is amazing, because a lot of figures these days, it's even, again, with like the shoulder articulation, they kind of skip out on giving us all the articulation you'd want, and they give us poopy paint too. Just to say, the paint on this one is pretty amazing. They got the look perfect too. Like in the book, it looks just like this. He's got the black jacket with the gray pants, and then the weird rubber looking boots. The one problem I gotta say though is that they gave him clown feet. Like his shoes are huge, and I just don't understand why. The Ghost Rider, I don't ever think he was known for having very big feet, but maybe he is. Maybe he's the Bigfoot rider. So at the waist here, he does have a swivel. It's a little bit inhibited, And by something, I don't even know what's stopping it right there. And as you can see, they did give him the spiky belt, and this one probably looks the best out of all of them. The paint is really good on these spikes, and it actually it looks just like the comic book again, and they're kind of pointy. The only problem is they didn't do it all the way around. That's sad. Toy Biz, you really didn't spend 2.2 billion on it. You only had to spend 1.2 billion. I'm upset. Somebody call them if there's anybody left. So coming down to probably the worst part of the figure is the legs here. They tried to give him better, I guess, leg articulation to sit on the motorcycle, but I don't think it really looks the best unless he's sitting on the motorcycle. So at the legs, he kicks forward that far and kicks back just a little bit. He goes out quite far. That's for that motorcycle riding action. He's got a thigh swivel at the top here. A nice double jointed knee. There's some, I don't know, a rubber piece there. I guess it's to, stop this piece from hitting so the spikes don't break. But it kind of inhibits the articulation a little bit. But it looks a little weird too. You can't say anything though. It makes the kneecap look nice when it's all extended. So I guess I can't complain that much when it's bent. It looks pretty bad. So at the, I guess, shin here, he's got a nice shin swivel right next to the spikes on the one side only. And this is the only reason I say anything about the not having the spikes on the knuckle dusters, because they put the one spike on the right leg, or I guess his left leg, but they wouldn't put it on the right hand to give him the spikes on the fingers. That's the one reason that upsets me, but I really can't complain again, because all the rest of the stuff, like, this isn't even a majority of, like, there's still accessories to go buy. And this figure, I'm pretty sure when it retailed, it was only around $20 maybe at most, which is unbelievable. Today, it would probably cost around $50 or $60 to get something like this, or if you're Mezco, $240. So I guess back in the day, this was really the best stuff you could get. Even today, it's still one of the best Ghost Rider figures. So moving on to the ankle here, he does have a hinge up and down. At some point, the back heel, I guess, fell out, so I had to just push it back in. Another caution. He does not have that much of a pivot, barely a little bit of anything. And then his big toes, they bend in to the perfect L degree for your nice toe joint. Now, putting this floppy-legged man back here, let's hope he stands up. All right. Now, we'll be moving on to the accessories. So, in the book, Ghost Rider always has his, well, we'll start with the Hell Cycle. He has his trusty Hell Cycle always on deck. He can literally call for it from anywhere. He could be trapped in a jail cell, and he could call the bike to break him out, which he does in the comic books. I'm not sure what issue it is, but he does it at some point. And this bike, it really is quite nice for just being like I'm pretty sure it's supposed to just be a base, but it really does feel like an actual motorcycle accessory, even though nothing moves and there's no no tire spinning, no in the comic book, this shield piece is supposed to come down and be a ram, but that doesn't move at all. You could probably, if you're willing, just kind of rip the piece off and move it down if you want to get that look, and it probably wouldn't look the worst, but I don't want to mess up this stuff too much. The paint on this bike is pretty decent. I think the silver is a little touchy in a lot of places, and a majority of this stuff isn't even supposed to be silver. You'll bring it in the reference here. You can see a lot of the silver that they have is supposed to just be painted black, which I think I might do. I just wanted to get this review in that so that it all looks pretty natural. It's not anything customized yet. But other than that, they got pretty good looks on the rest of it. This handlebar here got warped in the packaging because I guess that was the side that was pressed up against it. That's sad warpage. Marvellegends knows a lot about that today. But a lot of the paint doesn't look bad. It is really, really sloppy, though. It looks like it was hand-painted, which is a little bit cool. That's cool to know somebody hand-painted this motorcycle, and I guess I have that hand-painted object. I don't know. The paint is good. Like I said, the sculpting looks nice. And putting this man on it, actually, before, I do want to mention, there's a couple of, I guess, pieces of plastic to roll it around if you want to. You can get that play action, loudest thing I've ever heard. And it actually has, I guess, pinholes in it so that you can hook it up to the wall to make it look like the Ghost Rider is riding up the wall. And I actually really like that. It gives, I guess, playability and posability a lot more options. because a lot of the time in the book, the Ghost Rider will ride up a wall to escape police, or he'll ride up a wall dragging someone behind him on the chain. And I think it's really cool to be able to remake that with the figure. And I guess speaking of the chain, here is the chain accessory. It is literally just, I guess, just chains, a little chain, small chain that's in scale with the figure. And this is the worst part about it, is this little plastic clip thing, because it doesn't hold it together that well, and it's very loose and floppy, and it doesn't look like the book either. It's supposed to have like a metal, I don't even know, some little metal thing on the end to end it out, not a black poop thing. I don't know what this even is. And it might just be over time that it got loose like this, but I don't think it's a good way to hold it together really at all. And it does, you can wrap it around the Ghost Rider, bringing him in here. And then after I get this chain on him, we'll put him on the bike. So I like to put the chain hole through the spike there. Then you just, ooh, actually let me put it down a couple more, get it looking nice. So you put the chain down, loop it around him, hold that one in place, and just clip it together. You got to be very gentle because it falls apart very easily. But it's great that they gave us the option to give him his iconic chain around body look, and it looks really nice. And if you don't flop him around too much, it stays on pretty decent too. So now that we have all the pieces of the puzzle, we can smack them together. So getting this man with his updated bike articulation, sitting him on there. Oh, yo, oh, knocking over the light. I think if the pose isn't the worst, he doesn't look too bad on there. Oh, he doesn't even want to stay on there. This is the rough part right now. This is the please stay with us part. So if you put a little more time into a pose, a little more you know, pizzazz into it, it would look really good. And even you could put the 1 foot down or something, like the comic book cover. Kind of looks good. I think the bike is a great accessory to put with him, and it really brings it all together. And even speaking just for price-wise, this is an unbelievable deal for getting the figure and the bike with the comic book for only 25 bucks, I think is what I paid for it. But even retail is probably even less. That is, we just got to give a shout out to Toy Biz, because back then they were a real company for the collectors instead of just for making money from it. It's, whew, can we please get a company like that today? So, enough ranting about Toy Biz, or I guess poop figures today. Moving this stuff aside, we'll take him off and get ready for some comparisons, which is about the end of this video, or after the comparisons. I'm just going to say it now. I don't know how many people are going to actually watch this deep in, but please, if you have any like suggestions about how I could make these kind of videos better, I'm still looking for it. I think I'm starting to get a little bit of a flow going with it, like a little bit of an understanding of how to do it and make it at least decent. So please, anything you want to say it in the comments below. Please let me know. So we'll start with some comparisons. To start off, we'll compare Johnny Blaze Ghost Rider to Danny Ketch. And a lot of people I guess confuse them together, because the only real difference is the bike, and he wears a motorcycle suit, and he just kind of wears a biker thing. They just kind of evolved from a classic motorcycle rider to more of a biker, or I guess a stunt rider and a biker, which I actually like. I'd say I'd like the biker look more. It has that iconic, like, spiky, chainy look, and that is the iconic look for Ghost Rider. That's why most people think of Johnny Blaze when they see that look and they see that design, instead of the actual motorcycle suit that's usually with the blue, and it's usually bright blue with blue stripes, which I kind of like. It's an iconic look, and it's more the original look. So I guess we'll do a quick cycle comparison too. So here we have the Danny Ketch Ghost Rider bike, and then that's the Johnny Blaze bike. It is not the most accurate even though it really couldn't be, because back in the classic Ghost Rider days, pretty much every issue, the look of the bike would change. Even page by page, it would change, which is very bad for, I guess, continuity-wise, because there's no set Ghost Rider bike for that kind of day. That's probably why, with the Danny Ketch Ghost Rider, they gave him such a specific-looking bike, is so that people would actually connect with the bike, too. I'm looking into the deep lore over here. That's what we do over here. We get deep. Now, bringing my man back and finishing out some comparisons here. He kind of stands like this all the time. There's no real way to not have him kind of standing like Springtrap. But bringing in some early Ghost Rider characters, we have the Amazing Spider-Man and the Hobgoblin. There is a very early Ghost Rider storyline where the Ghost Rider goes hunting the Hobgoblin and Spider-Man tries to stop him. Very good issue. It's a couple of issues. I think it's 15 and 16 of the Ghost Rider run. Great issues. I recommend reading them. They the way Ghost Rider and Spider-Man interact is great. The Hobgoblin is just a classic villain for Ghost Rider to be like demon or something. I don't know. But it's a great character, and I think they scale pretty nicely, even though the scale really doesn't matter for this guy, because Ghost Rider, I feel like they never really scale him correctly, and the figure is just so goofy. He's not even like correctly stood up to be in scale. Now, there's not a lot of characters that Ghost Rider interacts with that we actually have in figure form, so we'll bring in a couple of decent ones. Here's Venom, who of course he tangles with a little later in the line in a lot of runoff like side issues. They do a lot of Venom and Ghost Rider. And then here is the man Kingpin, who is actually one of the early villains in Ghost Riders this run, the Danny Ketch Ghost Rider run. I think he does scale nicely around these guys. I think this figure is a decent height, and he actually is, a little bit of a spoiler, a very decent height to compare for the Mezco Ghost Rider, who is going to be around almost 7.5 inches tall. Just doing some of my research, I'm excited for him coming out. Which is going to be a decent scale. He's going to be quite big, which this guy is pretty big himself. You know what? It's been quite a minute. But busting out the tape measure. This guy, he sits around just above, I'd say 6.5, maybe about 7. Perfectly 7 almost. And I think he is pretty big already for a Ghost Rider, but Danny Ketch in the books is quite a big, hefty fella, so it fits along with the kind of scheme of it. So, I'll take these guys out of the way. Oh, almost just took everything out. The Kingpin is not happy. But now that that's out of the way, we'll bring this man in a little bit more. We'll park the bike right behind him. Cool 6 shot. That's it for this video. This has been the second figure comic review mix thing. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And I don't know if I'm going to be doing another one of these anytime soon. I don't really have any plans, but I would like to continue doing them. So, thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any, I guess, recommendations or tips, anything, I couldn't think of the word, but if you have anything to make this better, please comment down below. Like, comment, subscribe. We them boys, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Hope you have a good day.